I overheard the mechanic warn Mom, "The wheel will snap at 16 ph." Mom whispered, "Quiet, let him take the car. We need the insurance money." I towed the car to Mom's house. "Here is your gift." Was standing just behind the frosted glass partition of Miller's auto repair when my entire life unraveled in less than 10 seconds. I had walked in through the side bay to grab my jacket from the waiting room. My mother didn't know I was there. She was standing at the front desk, leaning over the counter while the head mechanic, Dave, scratched the back of his neck with grease-stained fingers. He was holding a clipboard, his face dead serious. "Look, Janice," Dave said, keeping his voice low. "The lower control arm is cracked clear through, and the front right ball joint is barely holding on by a thread. If he takes this on Highway 9 and hits 60 miles an hour, the wheel will snap right off the axle. He'll flip. You cannot let him drive this out of here." I froze. My hand stopped inches from the door handle. That car, a beat-up 2012 sedan, was the car I drove every single day to commute 40 miles to work. My mother had insisted on handling the inspection that morning because she claimed she wanted to help me out before my night shift. I waited for her to tell Dave to fix it. I waited for her to pull out her card or panic or ask how much the repair would cost. Instead, she glanced around the empty lobby, leaned closer to Dave, and spoke in a cold, steady whisper that made my stomach violently drop. "Quiet," she said. "Just clear the inspection sticker. Let him take the car. We need the insurance money." Dave stared at her. "Janice, are you insane? That's your son. He's on my policy," she snapped under her breath. "The payout clears the house debt. Mind your business, Dave. Just give me the keys." I didn't breathe. I didn't move. The air in my lungs turned to razor blades. My own mother wasn't just neglecting maintenance. She had taken out a supplemental policy on me 6 months ago under the guise of family protection. She was actively setting me up to die on the interstate for a check. I didn't scream. I didn't storm through the door and confront her. A strange, absolute numbness washed over me, the kind of ice-cold clarity that only hits when you realize the person who gave you life is willing to take it away. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and stepped back into the shadows of the garage bay. I walked out the side exit into the rain, my hands steady as stone. I called an independent certified mechanic I knew from college, paid him $200 cash to come straight to the shop parking lot with a flatbed tow truck, and waited until my mother left in her own SUV after dropping the keys in the drop box for me. Before the tow truck loaded my car, I had Dave write down a full, signed diagnostic report detailing the catastrophic failure risk. Dave looked terrified. I told him if he didn't hand me that paper, the police would hear the recording of him agreeing to let an unsafe vehicle leave his shop. He printed it immediately. I didn't drive that car an inch. I rode in the passenger seat of the flatbed all the way to my mother's house. It was 6:30 p.m. She was hosting her weekly Sunday dinner. My stepfather, my aunt, and 2 family friends were sitting in the dining room, laughing, eating pot roast, waiting for the evening to wind down. She was probably waiting for the phone call from the state troopers. The heavy hydraulic groan of the flatbed echoed down the quiet suburban street as the driver backed directly into her pristine driveway. He tilted the bed, chained the car down, and dropped that rusted death trap squarely across her manicured lawn, blocking her garage completely. The front door flew open. My mother walked out, a wine glass in her hand, irritation painted across her face. "What the hell is this?" she yelled. "Why is this on my grass?" Then she saw me step down from the truck, her face drained of every ounce of color. The wine glass trembled in her fingers. The entire dinner party filtered out onto the porch behind her, murmuring in confusion. I walked up the driveway slowly, the rain soaking through my shirt. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I held out the car keys and the folded diagnostic report, pressing them directly into her cold, stiff palm. "The mechanic told you the wheel would snap at 60, I said, loud enough for every single person on that porch to hear. "You told him to let me take it because you needed the insurance payout." Dead silence fell over the yard. My aunt gasped. My stepfather looked between me and my mother, his jaw dropping. My mother tried to stammer, her eyes darting around wildly. You're misunderstanding, honey. That's not—" "I have Dave's signed statement," I said, pulling out my phone, "and I have the audio from the lobby." She looked at the car rotting on her grass, then back at me, realizing in a single second that her reputation, her marriage, and her freedom were completely obliterated. "Here's your gift," I whispered. "Enjoy the payout." I turned around, got back into the cab of the flatbed, and drove away without looking back once. The police received the file 30 minutes later.